I think I've just found the answer for people who don't want to have to keep buying sticky mats for their stencil and stamp tool from Sizzix. I just got this 7.5 by 11-inch grip mat from Waffle. They sent it to me to try out with no obligation, but you know I've been loving using a grip mat on my turntable when I'm blending and coloring, as well as in my regular Misty and my mini Misty. One of the improvements they've made to the new mats is that the guide sheets are smaller than the mat now, so you can stick the guide to the mat, but there's still grip around the guide that will stick down to your surface. I chose this size because I hoped it would work with the stamp and spin tool that I've been enjoying so much, and it does. That makes me so happy, because as I said when I first got this tool, the disposable sticky mats were the one thing I wanted to change. Originally, I was thinking that a grip mat would be too thick on this base, and the lid wouldn't close properly, but it works perfectly. I guess that the hinges must have some play in them to allow for this thickness, and I'm guessing that it allows for stamping with red rubber stamps too. This last couple of weeks has been super busy, including my time visiting Laurel and then going with her and Brandy and Harriet to the Nashville Craft Retreat last weekend. So today, that's really all I have to say. Other than, I'm really loving how easy it is to kind of create spiral designs with the Stamp and Spin accessory, and I just want to play. I started by stamping 8 dots, 2 in each of my 4 colors, which are Cummerbund, Fiesta Blue, Aquatini, and finally Daydream. Then I picked up my stamp and I moved it outwards and also slightly counterclockwise from the first circle of dots. Then I stamped 2 of each of the colors and I repeated it a few more times. By shifting the stamp to the right each time and moving it out away from the center, you can see that a spiral is starting to form. Now, as you move outward, of course the 8 dots get further and further apart from each other, so I compensated for that by increasing the size of my dot stamps. I used the 3 dot stamps from the Simon Says Stamp Geo Flower Builder set, and I really was just playing, building up my pattern and not intending to make a card. When I got to the very outside of my design, I lined up the 3 different size dots that I had used, and I stamped them all at once to kind of close off the edge of the spiral design so that it'll look more circular. One of the hard things about making this design is deciding when to stop, and watching this back now, I see a few moments where I could have stopped to have a smaller design, but overall I think the effect of the spiral becomes more obvious the bigger it gets. At the very end, I went back and added some smaller dots in the center, just to make that white area there a little smaller. Even now, I wasn't sure I was going to make a card, but old habits die hard, so I trimmed the panel down to make 2 card fronts. I spritzed and splattered them, but I really wasn't happy that I wasn't going to be able to get the whole spiral onto a card like this. So we got inventive and I created a Z-fold card, or a Z-fold card, depending where you are. I started with a regular A2 card base, and then I just scored the front panel in half and I folded it back. That's all there is to it. So then I was able to trim those panels a little further and put one side of the spiral on the right side of the card base and the other side on the left, or the top part of the Z fold. You can maybe see the seam where I trimmed my panel too far and had it back a 1/4 inch. So to hide that, I masked off the card base at the top and the bottom, and I stamped a strip of tiny dots from an old Simon Hurley stamp. I finished it with a Hero Arts Happy Father's Day die cut that I had blended the Daydream and Aquatini onto, and I backed it onto a white shadow that I had embossed with the Altenew Crazy Dots 3D embossing folder. And there's today's lesson in adaptive card making. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.